Hi, I'm Jed Oliver. I'd like to read to you an episode from my book Knut, the Lone Vigilante, subtitled Chuckles from a Small Town. Uh, this particular episode is called Heinie's Romance, and I'll have to give you just a little bit of background so you know what happened before. Heinie Goebel is the town character. He's the biggest cusser in town. He can't say a sentence without having a swear word in it, at least one, and it causes him problems. And the biggest problem is that he's been in love with this woman in town named Daisy May for years and years, and he keeps trying to get a date with her, and she won't go out with him because he's dirty and slovenly and he swears all the time. So the people at Lulu's Cafe are kind of sympathetic, and they're trying to teach Heinie how to be a gentleman. First thing they have to teach him is how to speak English without putting in swear words in every sentence. So Heinie's been home practicing not swearing, and that's where this episode begins. Heinie's Romance. Knut was driving down Main Street on his regular patrol. It had been a couple of days since anyone had seen Heinie. They wondered how he was doing on his practicing talking without using any cuss words. So, driving past Lulu's Cafe, he spotted Heinie just walking in the door. While Knut couldn't pass up what the latest cuss news might be, so he parked his big station wagon and followed Heinie in the door. "Good afternoon, everybody," said Heinie. Lulu's mouth just dropped open because there hadn't been a single cuss word in that whole three-word sentence. "Good afternoon to you too, Heinie." Now, Mayor Gherkin and Otto peered out of their booth in the corner. The mayor had more or less established Lulu's corner booth as his office, seeing as it was centrally located in town. They were waiting for Heinie's next words, too, to see how much effect his cuss word skipping practice had had. "Heinie," says Knut, "it looks like you got yourself a brand new pair of bib overalls." "Yep." It's kind of a long story. Well, tell us, Heinie." Lulu wanted to hear Heinie talk some more. "Well, it's kind of personal." Knut slapped Heinie on the shoulder. "Well, we're all friends around here. Go ahead and tell it." "Well, could I have a cup of coffee, Lulu?" So Lulu poured him a cup of coffee. He still hadn't done any cuss words. "Well, I practiced not cussing, and I figured maybe I was good enough to go talk to Daisy May again." You guys don't want to hear about this stuff." "Tell it, Heinie," shouted the mayor, who was anxiously listening. I didn't see you back there, Mayor. Mayor, how do you do? How do you do?" "Well, howdy to you too, Heinie. Now tell the rest of the story." So Heinie looked at the mayor, and he looked at Otto. He looked at Knut, he looked at Lulu. Then he looked out the door, and he scratched his head. And he scratched his leg. He was pondering the wisdom of continuing. "Well, okay. I decided my practice was maybe good enough to try talking to Daisy May again. And somebody told me that women like romantic poetry. So I decided to call on Daisy May and recite some romantic poetry to her." "Oh, how sweet," said Lulu. "What did you recite?" Now, don't let me get ahead of myself. I don't want to say this wrong. "Just go ahead at your own speed," said Knut. "Okay." So I went over to Daisy May's and I rang her doorbell. And she almost slammed the door in my face again when she saw who it was. But I said, "Just a minute, Daisy May. I memorized this poem just for you." She looked kind of puzzled. And she still had her hand on the door ready to slam it when I let her have the poem with both barrels, so to speak. "What'd you say, Heinie?" "I remembered this real romantic poem, so I said it." "What did you say, Heinie?" Okay, so I struck this real serious romantic pose, and And I said, the owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. Well, there were several moments of silence after this. Finally, Lulu asked, is that all? Well, yeah, because she looked up at the sky as if she was praying, and then she told me to go buy some new overalls and go home and take a bath. And what then? Well, then she slammed the door in my face. And then, well, I went and bought these brand new overalls. Then I went home and took a bath. How do I look? Lulu asked him to stand up and turn around in a circle so everybody could get a good look at him. Well, maybe not exactly handsome, but a lot better than you did before. Heinie thought this over for a moment. Well, I ain't really trying to be handsome, but maybe if I could look a little like John Wayne, she'd be satisfied. Everybody sat there sipping their coffee and thinking this over. Problem now, of course, was how to please Daisy May. Otto spoke up. Tell you what I'd do, Heinie. I'd go over to her house again, now that you got those fancy new overalls and a clean bath, and I'd see how you impress her now. Knut scratched his head. Maybe try a different poem this time. A look of real determination crossed Heinie's face. I'll do it. I'll do it. You folks wait here. I'll let you know what happens. So Heinie rushed out the door, looking very determined indeed. Anybody know where Daisy May lives? About 3 blocks from here. Well, we shouldn't have long to wait then. Well, the situation was actually a bit nerve-wracking for everybody in Lulu's cafe. They'd reached a point where they were all mentally cheering for Heinie's success, just because he was trying so hard. It was like cheering for one's hometown ball team. Lulu refilled all their coffee cups, then decided she needed a cream-filled donut to help calm down. She always did that. She got a little nervous, or if the business got a little slow. That's kind of why she's as chubby as she is. Knut rubbed his fingers on the counter. The mayor now got up and paced around the room restlessly. After about 20 minutes, Heinie walked in the door. He didn't look very happy, but he didn't really look sad either. Lulu poured him a cup. Heinie took a sip. It didn't seem like he was going to say anything. The silence and suspense was nearly unbearable. Finally, Knut spoke up, startling everybody. Well? After jumping at the loud well and nearly spilling his coffee, Heinie answered, well, what did she say? Asked Lulu. Oh, that. Come on, Heinie. Okay, well, I walked up to the door and I rang the bell. And Daisy May came to the door and saw it was me. And she looked up at me up and down, and I could tell she was admiring my new overalls. And so I recited a new poem, a different one. What was the poem? Asked Lulu. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind, and then she interrupted me. She told me I needed a shave and a haircut. Then she slammed the door in my face. Everybody was silent for a minute. What now, Heinie? Well, I think I'll get a shave and a haircut. I think you got her leaning my way. Heinie finished his coffee and headed for the door. Going to the barber shop? Yep. And then he walked out. Everybody took a deep breath and let it out. Everybody was silent, pondering the story they'd just heard. Finally, Mayor Gherkin spoke up. I told you we'd have that boy reciting Shakespeare one of these days. That's the end of this chapter. I tell you, if you want to know what happens to Heinie and Daisy May and a lot of other folks in the small town, I'm not trying to sell you anything here, but you'd have to read the book. And if you've enjoyed this reading that I just did, I think you'd enjoy the book. It is available at Amazon.com or lots of other places. Knut, the Lone Vigilante. So thank you very much for listening.